The value of life, human life, is greater than that of a cow. And it's only when you open the door for conflict that political enemy will come in. Political enemies, they don't want you to succeed. Have you just realizing that? Governor, no matter what I do, they will still abuse me. Yeah.
The misinformation and misrepresentation of the security crisis in Benue State. Your Excellencies, it is not herder farmers clashes. It's not communal clashes. It's not repressor attacks or skirmishes. It is this misinformation that has led to suggestions such as remain tolerant, negotiate for peace, learn to live with your neighbors. What we are dealing with here in Benue is a calculated, well-planned, full-scale genocidal invasion and land-grabbing campaign.
Not everybody will like you in politics. They hate me like hell, too. Well, I'm here. I am the president.
I was compelled to listen to the president. I listened to the governor. And I heard the compelling words of the tortille. And I must say very quickly that it would have been better if the president didn't go. The only thing worthy of anybody's time are the words of the tortille, who spoke extensively to the reality of the situation in the Benue Trough and spoke eloquently to the pains of the victims.
Children, rain, silence. President Bola Tinubu visited Benue State days after one of the deadliest attacks in recent history. But instead of hope, Nigerians saw heartbreak. Soaked school children lined in the streets in the rain, waving at a president who never stopped. No visits to the massacre site, no new security strategy, just a photo up and gone. Will this visit change anything, or was it a performance in the middle of pain? Let's find out in this video. On June 13, 2025, terror returned to Benue. Yelewata community was attacked by unknown gunmen armed to the teeth. Merciless execution, what was Nigerian saw. Over 200 people killed, homes were burnt, families displaced, futures destroyed, and then silence. No national broadcast, no immediate visit, no arrests, just days of mourning. And a growing question, why does this keep happening? Benue is no stranger to bloodshed. For over a decade, it has been the epicenter of Nigerian's farmer-herder conflict. But for the locals, these are not just statistics, they are names, faces, families. What happened in Yelewata wasn't random. It followed a chilling pattern: night attacks, targeted killings, mass displacement. Eyewitnesses reported dozens of gunmen sweeping through the village, torching homes and opening fire. Survivors fled into the bush. Some have yet to return, and in the wake of the attack, questions once again fueled the silence. Where were the security agencies? Why was there no early warning? And why is justice always delayed, if not denied, when it comes to the issue of Benue killings? On June 18th, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu finally arrived in Makurdi, the Benue State capital. His visit came 5 days after the massacre. He toured the hospital. He consoled survivors. He asked security agencies why no arrest has been made. But for many in Benue, the visit felt too little, too late. There was no stop at the Yelewata community, no speech from the heart of the grieving community, no direct engagement with the displaced. Instead, what Nigerians saw was a heavily secured, tightly controlled visit focused on optics, not outcomes. The symbolism was powerful. but so was the absence. How do you visit a state in mourning and skip the massacre site? How do you show your empathy without witnessing the destruction even more? How does the president justify 5 days of silence before acting? Then came the image that went viral. School children dressed in uniforms stood by the roadside in Makurdi. It was raining heavily. There were no umbrellas, no shelter, just children soaking wet, waiting for the president's convoy. Cars that speed past, splashing muddy water. The children kept waving. This single moment captured everything wrong with political culture in Nigeria. Why were children lined in the rain? Who ordered it? What did the presidency know? The backlash was swift. Nigerians on social media erupted with anger. Human rights activists called it emotional abuse. Parents asked, would any government official allow their own children to be used this way? It wasn't just about the rain. It was about the dignity. About a nation that could use children for optics, not protect them from harm. The presidency did not issue an apology. Benue State officials tried to downplay it, claiming the children were volunteers. But the image told a different story. And once again, the children were left in silence, both soaked and ignored by the convoy of the president. The controversies didn't end there. Political opponent slammed the visit a photo opportunity. Opposition parties accused the APC-led government of playing politics with pain. Civil society groups demanded accountability for the children in the rain. Religious leaders, including Catholic bishops in the region, called the president's visit incomplete and insensitive. And still, there were no arrests, no major security reshuffle, no emergency fund announced for IDPs, many wounded. Was this a condolence visit or a campaign stop? What did Benue gain from this presidential appearance? The victims of Yelewata are still buried in shallow graves. Their families still live in fear, and the displaced continue to camp in overcrowded, unsanitary shelters. What the people asked for was action. What they got was optics.
I was compelled to listen to watch the video from Benue. So I was compelled to listen to the president. I listened to the governor, and I heard the compelling words of the tortilla. And I must say very quickly that it would have been better if the president didn't go. The only thing worthy of anybody's time are the words of the tortilla, who spoke extensively to the reality of the situation in the Benue Trough and spoke eloquently to the pains of the victims. Other than that, all the president had to offer were mere windows into his own preoccupation and what truly concerns his aides and assistants. In 2018, February, when Buhari went to Dapchi, you would recall that they ensured that they went with the red carpet so that when he came out of his limousine in Dapchi, he could step onto a red carpet. In Benue, they knew exactly what was of importance to the president, so they ensured that they put out the necessary theater in preparation for 2027. The death of over 200 people did not count for anything much. They were mentioned probably only in passing. You would have been excused for thinking that it was a political event, and the president did make it sound as if the problem was a political one that should be resolved politically, even though I thank the tortilla for ensuring that in spite of the comical clapping that revealed a Kafkaesque dystopian reality in our society, where in spite of the fact that over 200 persons have just been brutally murdered and burnt in their homes, persons could still find the idiocy to be clapping over everything and anything, almost in a manner that even challenges one's sanity. But that's where we find ourselves, unfortunately.
During President Muhammadu Buhari's tenure, Benue's complaints of insecurity and marginalization were often dismissed. Governor Samuel Ortom, who once narrowly survived an assassination attempt, repeatedly accused the federal government of turning a blind eye. Now with Tinubu in power, many hoped for a change in tune, a change in action. But change has been slow. The killings continue, IDP camps are growing, and the federal response remains reactive rather than proactive. In Abuja, presidential aides speak of empathy. On the ground in Benue, the people see abandonment. What good is a president's visit if it doesn't come with accountability? What good are promises if there is no follow-through? Benue is not just a humanitarian crisis, it is a political one. With over 2 million registered voters, Benue is a key battleground in national elections. Yet, insecurity has disenfranchised thousands. Entire communities have been displaced from their ancestral homes. Polling units now lie in ghost towns. Some accuse the government of doing too little, too late, because these regions vote against the ruling party. Others say it is incompetence, not conspiracy. Whatever the reason, the result is the same: displacement, disenfranchisement, disappear. If communities like Yelewata cannot return home, how would they vote in 2027? And if school children are used as human banners, what hope is there for Nigerians' democracy? This was not just a presidential visit, it was a moment of national truth. It exposed the cracks in our governance, the failure of our politics, and the cruelty of our optics. A president came, but justice didn't. Children stood in the rain, but no one said sorry. The cameras left, but the victims remained. So we ask, will there be arrests? Will there be justice? Or will this be another entry in the long history of Nigerian tragedies forgotten? Because if nothing changes, the next massacre is only a matter of time. The next group of children may not just be waving. Who knows the condition when it happens? What do you think? Was President Tinubu's visit to Benue genuine, or was it damage control? Should public officials be held accountable for exposing school children to rain just to welcome a leader? Will Benue ever get justice and protection it deserves? Let us know in the comments. If you believe children should never be used for politics, like this video. If you think silence is betrayal, share this video. And if you want more raw, truthful documentaries like this, subscribe. Because real change starts with real truth, and Benue's tears must never be in vain.